The stars were quiet. Only drifting metal and burned ship parts filled the endless dark. Among the wreckage, one ship moved slowly, its lights flickering like a dying candle. The name on its hull was half burned, but one word was still clear. Folly. Once they had laughed at that name. Now no one was laughing. Weeks before this day, the war had not yet begun. Humanity was still small, just one new species among hundreds in the vast galactic union. They had joined the stars only 50 years ago, still learning, still clumsy. To the older alien races, humans were amusing, noisy, emotional, and far too confident. When Earth announced it was building its first true warship, the galaxy laughed. They said humans don't need weapons. They can't even keep their moons clean. Still, humans built the ship. It was made from old parts, second-hand engines, and scavenged metal. Even its main gun was taken from a mining vessel. When the alien traders saw it for the first time, they called it humanity's folly, a joke. The name stuck, but for the people who built it, the ship meant something more. It meant hope. It meant that if the universe ever tried to crush them, they would have one fist to raise. Captain Elias Ward was not the kind of man who smiled much. He had fought in small border skirmishes, lost friends, and learned that peace in the galaxy was only for the strong. When the fleet command offered him the folly, most officers refused. They said it was cursed. Ward said yes. The first time he stood on its bridge, the ship felt alive. Old, yes. Broken, yes, but alive. The crew that joined him were volunteers. Engineers, misfits, people the Union had forgotten. They painted the ship's hull with a symbol, a cracked human skull wearing a crown. Under it they wrote, "Still standing." For months they trained. The Folly's systems glitched almost daily. Engines overheated. The targeting software spoke in 3 different languages. The crew joked that even the coffee machine hated them, but little by little, the chaos turned into rhythm. The Folly became something strange, half junk, half genius. Then came the day everything changed. A signal reached Earth's command center. An alien empire called the Valnar Dominion had crossed the neutral zone. Their ships burned 2 human colonies. The message was clear: submit or vanish. Earth had only one ship ready to respond, the Folly. When Ward received the order, he said nothing. He simply turned to his crew and said, "Set course for Valnar space." No one argued. They all knew it was suicide, but they also knew that someone had to show humanity could fight back. 2 days later, the Folly dropped out of hyperspace near the colony of Vesta Prime. The sky above the planet burned red. Valnar ships surrounded the world like vultures. Their flagship, the Vraxen, was 10 times larger than the Folly. The alien commander hailed them on open channel. Its voice was smooth and cruel. "Human vessel, identify yourself before we erase you." Captain Ward stood tall, hands behind his back. "This is humanity's Folly," he said, "and we are not leaving." The alien laughed, a sound like broken glass. "You send a toy ship to fight the Dominion? Very well. Die with your joke." Ward turned to his crew. "Helm, bring us in close." "Weapons! Prepare to fire everything we have." The crew looked at him in disbelief. "Sir, that ship has enough firepower to—" "Kill us twice, I know," Ward interrupted. "Let's make sure it only gets one chance." The Folly's engines roared. Panels shook. Alarm screamed. The old ship pushed forward, straight toward the alien fleet. Inside the alien flagship, the commander watched with amusement. He turned to his officers. "They are brave, or stupid. Destroy them." Energy beams shot through space. 3 missed, 1 hit. The Folly's shields flared bright blue. Metal tore. But the ship kept coming. Ward shouted, "Fire now!" Dozens of missiles launched, glowing like falling stars. Half exploded before reaching their target. The rest hit the Vraxen's hull, small explosions, harmless on their own. But then something strange happened. The alien systems flickered. Engines failed. Power grids shorted out. Their sensors filled with static. What did they do? The alien officers screamed. Ward smiled grimly. He had ordered his engineers to load every missile with old-style nuclear warheads mixed with EMP charges. The Valnar had never seen anything so crude, so unpredictable. Their shields couldn't handle the chaos. The massive flagship began to drift, blind and powerless. Ward's second officer whispered, "Sir, we actually hurt them." Ward replied softly, "No, we just told them humans are not jokes." The crew cheered, half in shock, half in disbelief. But Ward's eyes stayed on the fading enemy. He knew this was not victory, only the first move in a long, terrible game. As the Folly turned away, the captain made his log entry. First engagement complete. The enemy underestimated us. They won't make that mistake again. But if they come, we'll be ready. Outside, the stars were silent once more. The Folly drifted in the dark, battered but alive. The ship that was never meant to fight, and yet had just fired the first shot in a war that would change the galaxy forever. The Folly drifted in silence. Her hull was blackened, her engines weak and her crew exhausted. Smoke filled the bridge, lights flickered and sparks rained from the ceiling. But no one cared. They were alive, and they had done the impossible. For the first time in history, a human ship had stood against the Valnar Dominion, and survived. Captain Elias Ward sat in his command chair, staring at the stars. He looked calm, but his hands were tight on the armrest. He knew the truth. The Valnar would not forgive this. They would come again, and next time they would bring an army. His second officer, Lieutenant Hannah Reyes, stepped forward. Engines at 40%. Shields are gone. We can't take another hit, sir. Ward nodded. Then let's make sure we're not here when they return. Course, Captain. Anywhere but here, he said quietly. The crew laughed softly, tired but proud. They had no medals, no victory parade, only the cold stars and the sound of broken machines. But deep down something had changed. They no longer felt small. Far away on the bridge of the Valnar flagship Vraxon, the alien commander raged. The once perfect bridge was now a ruin. Consoles burned, crew lying injured. The commander's armor was scorched, his silver eyes burning with fury. How? He growled. How did a primitive ship cripple us? No one dared answer. He slammed his clawed hand onto the table. Find them. I want that human ship turned to dust. Their planet burned. 2 days later, the Folly was hiding in the orbit of a small moon. Repairs were slow. The crew had used everything, even spare furniture, to fix leaks and patch holes. The ship was tired, but the crew was alive. Chief Engineer Mason Clark crawled out from under a panel covered in grease. Engines are running, Captain, but don't ask how. She's held together by luck and prayer. Ward gave a small smile. Then let's keep praying. Reyes looked up from her console. Sir, incoming signal. It's the Valnar. The bridge went silent. A huge shadow appeared in front of them, a Valnar warship, newer and stronger than the one they fought before. Its hull gleamed black and gold like a blade in the dark. The alien commander's voice echoed through the comms. Human ship. You damaged one of our finest vessels. You will pay for this insult, Ward stood up. You already lost one ship to a joke. Want to lose another? The alien hissed. You dare mock us? Ward turned to his crew. Target them. All batteries. Don't wait. But sir, Reyes said, we can't outgun them. I know, but maybe we can outthink them. The alien ship opened fire. Blue plasma bolts crossed space, burning through the void. The Folly twisted and turned, her engines screaming. Alarms blared. The hull shook like thunder. Ward shouted over the noise, return fire! The Folly's old cannons roared. Missiles streaked forward, small, fast, unpredictable. The alien ship's shields absorbed most of them easily. But Ward wasn't trying to break shields. He was trying to confuse them. Reyes noticed strange readings. Captain, are those fake signals? Ward smiled. Yes, I told Mason to release every probe, drone, and junk piece we had. They're all broadcasting fake weapon signatures. The alien sensors lit up with hundreds of targets, all looking like missiles, all closing in fast. Inside the enemy ship, panic spread. Multiple impacts incoming. Shields failing. Evasive maneuvers. They fired wildly into the empty void, wasting energy on ghosts. And that's when the real missile hit. A single torpedo slammed into the alien's left engine, tearing through armor. The explosion rippled across its power core. Flames burst from the ship's rear section. Ward whispered, First blood. The enemy ship drifted, its systems failing. On the Folly's bridge, the crew stared at the view screen in disbelief. Reyes said softly, We did it again. Ward didn't smile. Don't celebrate yet. Send a message to Earth Command. Tell them the Valnar know we're not prey anymore. Mason's voice crackled over the comms. Captain, we can't keep doing this. The ship's falling apart. We need repairs, real repairs. Ward nodded slowly. We'll find somewhere safe. But first we send a message they can't ignore. He turned to the communications officer. Broadcast this on all open channels. The officer hesitated. To the whole galaxy, sir? To everyone. The message played across hundreds of systems. This is Captain Elias Ward of Humanity's Folly. You called us weak. You called us a joke. But we are still here. And if you come for us again, you'll find out what humans do when they stop laughing. The message echoed through the galaxy like a spark in dry grass. Traders, smugglers, and soldiers heard it. Some smiled. Some felt fear. And in the dark chambers of the Valnar Council, the Emperor himself watched in silence. He turned to his generals. Prepare the fleet. If humanity wants a war, we will give them one. On the Folly, Captain Ward stood alone at the viewport watching the stars. He knew what was coming. The Dominion would return, not with one ship, but with hundreds. Reyes approached quietly. Sir, are we really ready for that? Ward didn't answer right away. He just looked at the reflection of his battered ship, broken, scarred, but alive. Then he said softly, We don't have to be ready. We just have to endure. The stars outside were calm again. But everyone on board knew this was only the beginning. The war had started. And humanity's folly had drawn first blood. The galaxy had gone silent. After Captain Elias Ward's message spread across the stars, everyone waited. Some said he was a hero. Others said he was a fool who just signed humanity's death sentence. The Valnar Dominion did not respond with words. They responded with fire. Weeks passed. On the outer colonies, human outposts began to vanish. No distress calls, no survivors. Trade ships disappeared between systems. Every day, another fleet of Valnar warships entered human space. They came fast, efficient, and merciless. Earth Command called it a border conflict. Ward called it what it truly was, an invasion. On the bridge of the Humanity's Folly, alarms flashed red. The ship floated near the asteroid belt of Theta 9, surrounded by debris. The crew was tired but focused. They had seen too much to be afraid anymore. Reyes looked up from her console. Captain, reports are coming in. 3 colonies down in the last 48 hours. The Dominion is moving fast. Ward stood by the main window, silent. His reflection stared back at him. Older, harder, eyes full of fire. They're not testing us anymore, he said. They're cleaning house. Mason, the engineer, groaned. Then we're next, Captain. This ship won't survive a full assault. Ward turned to face them. Then we don't wait for one. We hit them first. The bridge went silent. Reyes blinked. Sir, you want to attack them? With this ship? Ward nodded. Yes, they expect us to hide. That's what prey does. We're not prey. He brought up a holomap. Dozens of red markers glowed across space. Enemy fleets. He pointed to one orbiting a gas giant called Orion 5. This one controls their fuel shipments. We take it out. We buy time for the colonies. Reyes hesitated. That's suicide. Ward gave a faint smile. It's also human tradition. Hours later, the Folly entered the Orion system. The planet was huge and pale blue, wrapped in storms and lightning. Near its rings floated an enemy outpost, guarded by 5 destroyers and 1 cruiser. The Folly's scanners showed the odds. 1 ship against 6. Ward didn't blink. Arm all weapons. Mason, give me every drop of power those engines have. Mason muttered. Oh, you'll get it, but she's going to hate you for it, Ward said softly. She'll forgive me if we survive. As the Folly approached, the Valnar ships turned to face them. Their commander hailed Ward. Human ship, you dare to enter Dominion territory again? Ward replied calmly. No, I dare to end it. The alien hissed. Then end yourself. The sky exploded. Energy blasts cut through the dark. The Folly dodged and rolled, shaking under the hits. Panels burst, alarms screamed, but Ward's eyes stayed fixed on the main screen. Reyes deployed decoys. Mason, drop the mines. Small blinking devices scattered behind the ship like breadcrumbs. As the enemy chased them, the mines detonated. Silent flashes of blue energy. 2 destroyers vanished in the fire. Ward shouted, Now turn us around! The Folly flipped hard, firing every missile left. The enemy cruiser's shields glowed white, then shattered. One more blast, and the massive ship broke apart in a ball of flame. The crew cheered, but only for a moment. 3 enemy ships were still closing in fast. Reyes's voice cracked. Sir, shields failing. Engines overheating. Mason yelled. We've lost the aft section. We can't take another hit. Ward stayed calm. Plot a course through the asteroid field. Full speed, Reyes hesitated. That's suicide, Captain. Ward's tone was cold but steady. Then let's die on our feet. The Folly dove into the asteroid field. Massive rocks tumbled through space, crashing and spinning. The Valnar ships followed, firing blindly. But they were too big, too fast. They couldn't turn quickly enough. One slammed into an asteroid and exploded. Another's engines clipped a rock and tore apart. The last destroyer tried to pull out, but the Folly fired a single railgun shot. Direct hit. Silence. For a moment the crew just breathed. They were alive. Barely, but alive. Mason leaned on his console. We can't keep this up, Captain. Every battle breaks us a little more. Ward nodded. I know, but every battle also makes them bleed. Reyes looked at the damage report. We lost half our armor. Engines down to 30%. We'll need a miracle to keep flying. Ward replied, Then it's a good thing humanity specializes in miracles. Back in Valnar space, the Dominion Council gathered. The Emperor's voice was like thunder. One human ship has destroyed 6 of our warships. This cannot continue, a general bowed. We will send the Crimson Fleet, my lord. 40 ships. We will erase this folly from the stars. The Emperor nodded slowly. Do it. End this insult once and for all. Meanwhile, the Folly floated among the asteroids, engines cold, hiding from scanners. The crew worked in silence, patching what they could. Reyes whispered, Captain, what if they bring everything next time? Ward looked out at the stars, the same stars that had once felt so peaceful. He said quietly, Then we'll show them what everything means. To us. Outside, lightning flashed across the surface of Orion 5, lighting the scars on the ship's hull. The Folly looked small, so broken, alone. But in that small ship burned the one thing the Valnar could never understand, the human will to fight back. The Folly was gone. At least that's what the galaxy believed. After the battle at Orion 5, the Valnar claimed victory. They said the human joke ship had finally been destroyed, lost in the fire and storm of the asteroid field. No wreckage was found. No signal remained. The Valnar commander sent a message to his emperor. The Folly is no more. The insult has ended, but he was wrong. Very wrong. Far from the battle zone, hidden in the frozen shadow of a dead moon, the humanity's Folly floated silently. Her hull was scorched black. Engines were dead. Half her crew was injured, some gone. But her heart, her reactor, still pulsed with life. Inside, Captain Elias Ward sat in the darkened bridge. Only the soft hum of emergency power filled the air. Reyes whispered, No one's looking for us, sir. They all think we're dead. Ward stared out the cracked viewport. Good, he said. Let's keep it that way. Mason, the engineer, grinned weakly. So what now, Captain? Hide until we run out of air. Ward turned slowly. His eyes glinted in the dim light. No, we haunt them. Days passed. The crew worked in silence. They stripped broken parts, rerouted systems, and built strange new weapons from scrap. The Folly became something else, smaller, darker, sharper. Her ship reborn from its own ashes. When the engines finally hummed again, Ward stood and said 4 words that would echo through history. Let's make them afraid. Their first strike came without warning. A Valnar patrol ship drifted through empty space near the edge of human territory. The crew was bored, relaxed, laughing about humans and their junk toys. Then their lights flickered. The radar filled with static, and from the darkness behind them, a shadow appeared, fast, silent, deadly. Before the aliens could react, a single torpedo hit their reactor. The ship vanished in white light, no distress call. No survivors. Over the next weeks it happened again. And again Valnar ships began to disappear. Cargo vessels, scouts, even small fleets. The attacks were fast, unpredictable. The only clue left behind was a faint human signal, a single ping that read, Folly 01, rumors spread across the stars. Some said the humans had built an invisible fleet. Others whispered that their ghosts had returned from the void. The Valnar called it the Phantom War. Inside the Folly, the crew had grown quieter, colder. Each mission was faster, cleaner, deadlier. Reyes looked at Ward one night and said, Sir, we've become the monsters they feared. Ward didn't look away from the screen. If monsters are what keep our people alive, then so be it, Mason added softly. We're ghosts now, Captain, Ward replied. Good. Let's haunt the Empire until it screams. The Folly began striking deeper into Valnar space. They sabotaged fuel depots, hijacked communication relays and destroyed convoys before disappearing back into the void. Each victory spread panic. Valnar commanders stopped sleeping. Convoys refused to travel at night. Whole fleets were assigned to hunt one single ship, but they never found it. Because the Folly was no longer just a ship, it was an idea. One night, deep in the outer sectors, the Valnar flagship Jareth detected movement. The commander leaned forward. "Is it them?" "Unknown signal," his officer replied. "Human pattern." "Maybe," the commander sneered. "Finally. Lock weapons? Prepare to—" But before he could finish, every light on the bridge went out. The ship's sensors died, and a cold human voice came through the static. "You shouldn't have laughed." Moments later, the Jareth exploded. No trace, no survivors. In the months that followed, something changed in the galaxy. The Valnar Dominion began to shrink. Worlds that once obeyed them now rebelled. Pirates and smugglers used the confusion to strike their own blows. And every time a Valnar ship burned, one name spread across the stars: the Folly. Some said it was still one ship. Others said humanity had dozens. But the truth was simpler. It was still just Captain Ward and his ragged crew fighting from the shadows. Inside the Folly, the crew listened to intercepted broadcasts. Reyes smiled for the first time in months. "They're terrified, Captain. They see us everywhere." Ward looked tired but proud. "Good. Fear is the first step to respect." Mason leaned back. "And what's the second?" Ward's voice was quiet. "Victory." That night, alone on the bridge, Ward recorded another log. Day 126, the Valnar believe we're a fleet. They chase shadows while their empire burns from within. Humanity is learning. They thought we were weak. They forgot what desperation can create. He looked out the viewport at the silent stars. The Folly drifted through darkness, invisible to scanners. "A ghost ship in a galaxy of giants," Ward whispered to himself. "They made us a legend. Now we'll make them history." And somewhere in deep space, another Valnar ship vanished, swallowed by the dark, claimed by the ghost in the void. The Folly drifted silently through the cold darkness. Every system on the ship was patched and jury-rigged, yet still functioning. The crew was tired, battered, but alive. Captain Elias Ward had led them through impossible battles, and now the galaxy was listening. Reports had come in from scouts and spies. The Valnar Dominion was gathering. They had learned from every mistake. And they had prepared a trap. Ward stood at the bridge, staring at the starfield. "Orion Gate," he muttered. The Valnar had lured them to the planet's hyperspace hub, the place every fleet must pass through to reach human space. It was heavily defended, with dozens of capital ships and thousands of fighters. Reyes leaned over the console, reading the incoming intelligence. "Captain, if this is a trap, there's no way we survive." Ward's voice was calm but firm. "There's only one way to find out. Prepare for warp." "Take us in," Mason muttered from the engine room. "You really enjoy playing with death, don't you?" Ward smiled faintly. "Someone has to." The Folly dropped out of hyperspace near Orion Gate. The scene before them was terrifying. Hundreds of Valnar ships formed a massive circle, blocking every exit. Energy beams stretched across space like deadly webs. Capital ships bristled with weapons ready to fire. Ward's crew went silent. Even the veteran engineers and soldiers could feel the weight of the trap. The comms officer said softly, "Captain, they know we're here," Ward nodded. "Good. Then they'll be surprised by what we do next." The Valnar commander's voice boomed across open channel. "Human ship, you are trapped. Surrender, and your species may live. Resist and you will be destroyed." Ward's response was calm, steady. "We don't surrender." The first salvo of enemy fire screamed across the void. Plasma beams, missiles and torpedoes converged on the Folly. Alarms blared. The hull shook violently. Ward shouted over the chaos, "Evasive maneuvers! Shields up! Fire all weapons and every last one!" The battle began. The Folly twisted and darted through the trap. Small missiles launched at enemy formations, causing confusion. EMP pulses scrambled targeting systems on several Valnar ships. But it wasn't enough. The enemy numbers were overwhelming. Mason shouted from engineering, "Captain, if we keep this up, the reactor will blow." Ward made a decision that would decide their fate. "Then we stop worrying about surviving. We fight to win no matter what it costs." Reyes stared. "Sir, You're talking about destroying the ship. Ward's eyes were steady. Exactly. The Folly's crew moved quickly. They rerouted power to the core, charged every weapon and armed the ship like a bomb. Ward's plan was desperate. They would use the Folly itself as a weapon, a moving, exploding fortress. Set coordinates, Ward said. Straight into the center of their fleet, Reyes gasped. We'll never survive the impact. Good, then let's make it count. The crew worked in silence. Every second was precious. Every motion was precise. The Folly became more than a ship. It became humanity's fist. Valnar ships closed in. Hundreds of guns fired. Energy shields flared and melted. Fighter squadrons swarmed the Folly. The human ship dove forward, cutting through the enemy lines. Explosions bloomed around them. Missiles collided with shields. Enemy ships screamed as small torpedoes ripped into hulls. Ward remained calm, watching the enemy commander's flagship. He whispered to himself, "This is the end." For them. Inside the Valnar flagship, alarms screamed. The commander shouted, "Destroy the human ship before it reaches the core." But it was too late. The Folly reached the heart of the fleet. Ward activated the final sequence. The reactor core pulsed, glowing brighter than a sun, energy building beyond reason. "Brace for impact," he shouted. The Folly's hull began to shake violently. The crew held on to whatever they could. Warning sirens filled the ship. Outside, Valnar's ship screamed in confusion, unable to escape the energy wave. Then, white light. When the light faded, silence filled the void. The Folly was gone. The Valnar fleet was shattered. Ships drifted in flames. Communication channels were dead. Orion Gate, the supposed heart of the Dominion, had been destroyed. The Empire was in chaos. Rebellions began to spread across Valnar worlds. Humans and alien allies everywhere whispered the same thing. The Folly is alive. Some claimed it was a miracle. Others called it a ghost. But Captain Ward's crew, those who survived the initial escape, knew the truth. Humanity had struck a blow so deep. It would never be forgotten. Months later, scattered reports came in from Valnar systems. Ships vanished without warning. Fuel depots exploded. Convoys disappeared in the night. The Dominion's fleets trembled at the sight of one small human ship, a shadow, a ghost, a weapon. And somewhere in deep space the Folly drifted again, battered but unbroken. Her crew worked quietly, repairing and preparing for the next battle. Ward stood on the bridge, looking at the void. He whispered to himself, "They thought this was the end." They were wrong. Humanity never bows. Hand legends never die. The galaxy was quiet again, but it was a quiet born from fear. Across countless systems, whispers of one ship traveled faster than light. A battered, scarred vessel, a ghost known as the Folly. Even the mighty Valnar Dominion trembled. They had thrown everything they had at humanity, fleets, weapons, traps. And still, one small ship haunted their empire. Inside the Folly, the crew moved efficiently, repairing, rearming, preparing. Captain Elias Ward stood at the viewport, looking at the stars, thinking of all that had been lost. Colonies destroyed, friends gone, worlds burned. But he also thought of something more powerful, hope. Reyes approached, her eyes wide. "Captain, the Dominion fleets are gathering near the core sectors. They're sending everything to crush us once and for all." Ward nodded slowly. "They want to finish what they started. Let's make sure they never try again," Mason muttered from engineering. "You really enjoy impossible battles, don't you?" Ward smiled faintly. "Someone has to." The Folly jumped into hyperspace, appearing suddenly in the Dominion's heart, near the massive fleet hub called Astra Station. Hundreds of Valnar ships were stationed there, battleships, carriers, cruisers, ready to strike. The station itself bristled with energy weapons and defense grids. Ward turned to his crew. "This is it. We either end this, or we die trying. Fire all weapons, every missile, torpedo, and energy pulse we have. Then we go where no one can follow." The crew worked like one organism. Old, patched-up engines pushed the ship to its limit. Weapons roared. The Folly dove straight into the heart of the enemy fleet. The Dominion fleets opened fire. Plasma bolts tore through space. Missiles screamed toward the small human ship. But it moved faster than anyone expected, weaving between lasers, dodging torpedoes. Each strike of the Folly landed with devastating precision, crippling engines, destroying bridges, detonating fuel depots. From the command tower of Astra Station, the Valnar Emperor watched in disbelief. How can one ship destroy so many? He growled. Generals bowed, trembling. Sir, it is the humans. One ship. It is all that remains. Ward's voice echoed over the bridge. Focus on the station. Disable the core. We end this empire today. The crew followed orders. Every weapon fired. The Folly's hull glowed under the strain of overcharged reactors. The energy built to a crescendo, light brighter than a sun. Missiles detonated across the enemy fleets. Astra Station trembled. Ward turned to Reyes. Prepare the core sequence. It's time. She nodded, fear and determination mixed in her eyes. The Folly's reactor overloaded, transforming the ship itself into a living weapon. In the Valnar command room, alarms blared. The Emperor screamed, "Destroy that ship now!" But the Folly moved faster, straight into the station's core. A white-hot flash filled the system. Energy waves ripped through space. Ships exploded. Stations collapsed. The explosion didn't just destroy the fleet, it severed hyperspace lanes, cutting off the Dominion from reinforcements and supply worlds. For the first time in centuries, the Empire was powerless.